This is the read aloud called The Constitution by Paul Finkelman. It's a social science textbook. Social science textbooks present information about real people, real events, and real conditions. I picked this story because we're working on this in our history lesson anyway, so it gives us a little bit extra practice and knowledge. You guys did the vocab yesterday. The yellow words were your vocab words that you worked on. The introduction on page 486. What would it be like if our government had no president or any other leader? What if the government could not collect taxes to pay bills? What if each state had its own kind of money? You would have to change your Pennsylvania money into Virginia money as you traveled south. What if a criminal only had to spit out of state to escape justice? Spit out of state means to leave a state, to escape justice. This is what the United States was like before the Constitution was written. A new constitution, a new nation needs a written plan of government. When the United States declared its independence from Britain, it needed a new government. Its first plan created a weak national government that did not work well. So Americans wrote a second plan, the U.S. Constitution. This new plan worked, and it has become a model for governments around the world. What does the U.S. Constitution say, and what does it mean in our lives? So we're going to go through this a little bit. The Constitution is at work when the president makes the annual State of the Union address to the three branches of government. We're going to learn about the branches of government. This is just a picture of a museum. We will look at those later, 488 and 489. This is what the Constitution looks like. It's very tiny print, so we can't see it. A closer look, page 490. The Constitution has three parts. There's an introduction called the preamble, 7 articles that describe the plan of the national government, and the amendments or changes to the Constitution. Then we'll break those down. The preamble, the first paragraph, states the basic purpose for the new plan. 1 was to create a union where states work together. 2 is to create a system of laws that are fair. And 3 is to keep peace within the country. Number 4 is to protect the nation from outside attack. And number 5 is to improve the lives of all the Americans. And 6, to make sure that our free society survives in the future. If you step back from this for a minute, you can identify that this is exactly what we do in our school. We create a school where we work together. We create a system of rules that are fair for everyone. We keep peace within our country, right? We have respect, responsibility, ready to protect our nation from outside attack. We have policies and procedures to keep us safe while we're in school. And we have things that make sure our free society survives in the future. So we want to give you free public education. We want to give you skills to carry on so you guys can flourish in your lives moving forward. The preamble says, we are the people of the United States. In order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our prosperity, to ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. I'm really glad they broke it down in other words, because that language from before time does not make very clear sense to us. But that's how they used to talk. The articles, the 7 articles set out the power of Congress, the president, and the federal courts. The article also explains how the states are to relate to the national government and how the Constitution can be amended. So we have our government and we have our states that follow the government. And also the national government, how the Constitution can be amended or changed. Over time, society has changed. So we've had to make amendments and change some of these things in the Constitution to better fit where we're at in life. Most importantly, the articles declare the Constitution and all the laws by the Congress will be the supreme law of the land. All states must obey the national laws and follow the Constitution. The amendments say or change the Constitution. Were not written at the Constitutional Convention. They were added later. When changing conditions showed a need for a change to our plan of government, changing the Constitution is not easy. There have been 27 amendments in more than the 200 years. That's a lot of changes, but society has changed. The Constitution begins with the famous words, "We are the people of the United States." This means that the government is our government. It's established by the people, not by a king or any other authority. On page 492, it tells you about the three branches. This is on your midterm final, so maybe we'll use this as one of our notes pages. The three branches create a government with three separate branches or divisions. We don't just have one principal at Rockwell, we have two. And we have other people that are in charge of those people so that everybody has a shared position. The legislative branch, the executive branch, and the judicial branch. The legislative branch is called Congress. It includes the House of Representatives and the Senate, and it makes our laws. The executive branch includes the president, government agencies, and the military, carries out our laws. The judicial branch includes the Supreme Court and other federal courts. It hears cases and interprets our laws. It breaks it down in the next three paragraphs about what they are. And then we'll talk about checks and balances. The Constitution begins with the Congress. The delegates started here because this branch passes laws. It's most important branch. It is the most important branch, the legislative branch. It's also part of the government that is closest to the people. This branch represents the people of each state. Article 1 sets up the House of Representatives and the Senate. It says how the members of each body will be chosen, who can be a member, and how many members each body will have. The most important part of Article 1 tells what kind of laws Congress can pass and what kinds it cannot. Among the other things, Congress can enact taxes, they can borrow money, and declare war. Thank goodness that it tells you what kind of laws they can pass and what kind they can't. There's some kind of moral system to there, right? We don't want unjust laws being passed, violating people's rights. Congress cannot favor one state over another or grant titles of nobility, such as a duke or an earl, which would be people higher up. Finally, Article 1 says that Congress also can make any law necessary and proper to carry out its powers. The Elastic Clause was a way for future Americans to expand the meaning of the Constitution. Because it says one thing, you can have some flexibility in the way that it's worded to make it just for all people. And we do that here, don't we? If we know somebody needs a little extra support in one area, we can be flexible with the rules sometimes. The executive branch. Article 2 describes the office of the president and who will fill the office. It also tells what powers and duties that person has. The president serves as commander-in-chief of the military. With Senate approval, the president also makes treaties and appoints ambassadors and judges. One of the president's most important duties is to give Congress information about the State of the Union. This means the president reports on how the United States is doing and urges Congress to pass the laws that the country needs. Today, the executive branch of government is huge. It employs millions of people. The delegates never imagined how our government would grow. They gave the president enough power, however, to carry out Congress's laws. As our society grew and became more complex, so did our government. The judicial branch, we'll read this and checks and balances, and then we'll read the rest of the chapter tomorrow. This branch consists of the Supreme Court. These are our judges and other federal courts. This branch interprets the law. That means these courts hear cases, so you committed a crime. They will listen to your case, and then they will decide how the Constitution and other laws apply to them. Article 3 creates the office of Chief Justice of the United States and tells Congress to create a Supreme Court. The Constitution also allows Congress to create other federal courts. Today, we have federal courts for trials, appeals, and special areas of the law, such as immigration. An appeal means a transfer of legal case from a lower to a higher court for a new hearing. So if you commit a crime in the state, and it's a bigger crime than just what's in your city, you could go to the state court. And if it's a federal court, like robbing a bank, you will go to the federal court, correct? So it doesn't say just in one. Checks and balances, this is to help balance out power. Government needs to have power to do its job. However, it may use this power to do wrong. Governments have used the police to take away the rights of the people. Officials have used tax money to make themselves rich. Governments have gone to war when many citizens believed it was wrong. We need to have everybody on board. If we're fighting together, we all have to agree. The delegates wanted to control the power they gave to our government. To do this, they built up the constitutional system of checks and balances. They created separate branches of government. They wanted each branch to help control the power of the others. To take one example, Congress passed laws, but the president signs the laws. The president can veto or reject a law. However, if 2/3 of the members of the House and the Senate vote for the law, they can override the president's veto. We had some of this as we were switching presidents in the late end of Trump's presidency. He didn't want to sign certain things, but other people wanted him to, and vice versa. He wanted to sign things, but he did not have the popular vote of all of the other legislative and judicial branches. They create 3 separate branches of the government. They want each branch to help control the power of the others. To take, this was the one example, they can override the president's veto. Later, if a legal case results from the law, the Supreme Court can decide whether the law is unconstitutional. In this way, all 3 branches of government have a role in seeing that our laws are fair. If Congress believes a president has seriously misused power, it can be impeached or formally charged, him or her, with misconduct. The Senate puts the president on trial. If found guilty, the president can be removed from office. In U.S. history, 2 presidents, Andrew Jackson and William Jefferson Clinton, have been impeached and brought to trial. Neither one was found guilty. William Jefferson Clinton is Bill Clinton, and then Andrew Jackson. A political cartoon is in this picture. 1833 portrays President Andrew Jackson as a king. He was supposed to be the president, not a king, stepping on the Constitution. Critics felt he wanted too much power. We will stop for today and continue the rest of the reading tomorrow.